All right, we're going to get started. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the Oregon Employment Department for today's media briefing. My name is Rebecca Gibson King. I'm the Communications Director for the Oregon Employment Department. Today's speakers are Gail Krumenauer, State Employment Economist, Lindsay Leahy, Unemployment Insurance Director, David Gerstenfeld, OED Director, and Karen Madden-Hummelbaugh, Paid Leave Oregon Director. Couple of quick notes. This call is being recorded and we will post the recording online and send out the link to everyone who RSVP'd after the briefing. We will take questions after the opening remarks. And if you have any technical difficulties or are otherwise unable to ask your question today, as always, you are free to send an email to us at communications@employ.oregon.gov and we will assist you. So now I will turn it over to Gail. Please go ahead.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for joining us today. This morning, the Employment Department released the jobs numbers and unemployment rate for Oregon in December. Oregon employers added 3,900 jobs to non-farm payrolls last month. Two sectors had notable job gains in December. Private healthcare and social assistance added 2,300 jobs, and construction employment grew by 1,500 jobs over the month. Oregon employers have added 37,400 jobs over the past year. That's a gain of 1.9%. That said, those gains haven't been evenly spread out across the economy. More than half, 53%, of all job growth over the past year has occurred in just one sector alone. That's private healthcare and social assistance, which added 19,800 jobs over the year. Construction has added 5,700 jobs over the past year, which is a growth rate of 4.9%. Construction was at a record high employment level again in December of 2023. On the other hand, Oregon's manufacturers have lost about 4,700 jobs, or a decline of 2.4% over the past year. And retail trade has declined by 2,300 jobs. Oregon's unemployment rate was 3.7% in December, and that matched the US rate. Oregon's unemployment rate has been between 3.4 and 3.7% from May 2023 to December 2023. The US unemployment rate has also been in a narrow band at or near a historically low level since February of 2022. Overall, on a high-level view, Oregon's labor market has been relatively stable in recent months. We've seen some months with job gains and job losses, but overall there's been little net change over the past handful, comparing the past handful of months altogether. The size of the labor force has also been pretty stable, although it's declined 31,000 over the year. It's been pretty stable in recent months as well. But below the surface, we've seen gains recently in construction, in healthcare and social assistance, and in government, particularly local government. But all other sectors, just if you take the last handful of months, have had flat or declining employment trends. With that, I'll turn it over to Director David Gerstenfeld for more comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail, and thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. Today, I'd like to remind people that every January, the Employment Department sends out 1099 tax forms to everybody who received benefits the year before. However, this is the first time we're sending out the tax forms for people who receive benefits through Paid Leave Oregon. Both unemployment insurance and Paid Leave Oregon benefits are taxable, and people must report those benefits when filing taxes. We've started mailing the forms out already, and we expect to have all of the forms mailed out by January 31st. We're sending out about 122,000 1099s for the unemployment insurance and about 32,000 for Paid Leave Oregon. And starting in February, people will be able to see their 1099 forms online. For unemployment insurance, people can go to the online claim system, and for paid leave, people can go to their Francis Online account. And starting in February of this year, we anticipate people will also be able to get their unemployment insurance forms through their Francis Online account as well. If anybody received benefits in 2023 and does not receive a 1099 in the mail by mid-February, they'll be able to go online and print one for themselves. Or they can give us a call or use the Contact Us form on our website to request that we send them another copy. If anybody receives a 1099 and they did not receive benefits in 2023, we ask that they report this to us as potential fraud using the links on the home pages of either the Paid Leave Oregon or unemployment insurance websites. One other thing I'd like to note is that the Oregon Employment Department was able to weather the recent winter storms, which are still going on now, without a break in service to our customers. This is one of the many improvements we implemented during the pandemic, and a marked difference from the past when our contact centers would likely have been fully shut down. Now, although some of our employees are having to deal with the same impacts of the storms that too many other people are, as an agency, we are at work and we're continuing to help the public. Most of the work for both unemployment insurance and paid leave Oregon claims happens virtually, and people who need help finding jobs have many online options as well. We're looking forward to adding even more online services as we roll out unemployment insurance benefits in Francis Online. And speaking of that unemployment insurance rollout in Francis, I'm going to turn things over now to Unemployment Insurance Director, Lindsay Leahy.
Thank you, David, and good afternoon. As we migrate to the new system, I'll continue to join these media briefings. We will begin holding briefings weekly about a month before go live, so stay tuned for dates. We are asking our media partners to assist us in getting the word out about what our customers can expect. We will be sharing a preview today of what's to come. The Employment Department will launch unemployment insurance benefits in our modernized system, Francis Online, on March 4th. We are very excited about this because it has been a long time coming, and it will address several of the challenges claimants have experienced with our current system. Francis Online will make it easier for Oregonians to apply for and receive their unemployment insurance benefits, and it will offer new features to help claimants self-serve. It is also going to be a big change for our customers, and there will be a learning curve as claimants get used to the new system. We anticipate a significant increase in calls to the Unemployment Insurance Contact Center when the new system goes live, so we are staffing up accordingly. We expect to onboard 40 public service representatives in early February. We want to be transparent about the system migration. As with the launch of any large-scale IT project, we will need to make adjustments as we go, and things might not always work as expected at first, despite all the testing we have done and all of the work that we continue to do. We are prepared to act quickly and make changes as needed if any issues arise. Our commitment to Oregonians is to communicate early and often about any emerging issues and about how we are working to address them. There will be some service disruption while we migrate data from the old system to the new system. This is not unique to Oregon, and it is an expected part of the launch of a technology project of this size, and it has been the process for other states that have modernized their systems. We are working to minimize the short-term disruption for people seeking benefits without putting this migration work at risk. We will be sharing additional details, including dates, in the coming weeks. We will continue to communicate directly with active claimants and employers about this migration period and what to expect in the new system. It is important for claimants and employers to read correspondence that we send to them, respond quickly if we are asking for information, and be prepared for the migration period and for using the new system. With Francis Online, claimants can expect several changes, primarily in how they will navigate the new system. Some of the biggest changes include claimants will be able to use Francis Online to file a claim. We will provide information on how to use Francis Online to file an initial claim application, file a weekly claim, restart a claim, upload documents, respond to requests for information, check their claim status, and more. We will have a new secure message system. Claimants will be able to use Francis Online to send and receive messages if they have questions or issues with their claim. We are using the unemployment.oregon.gov website to share information that claimants need. The website will have updated resources, FAQs, and other information about Francis Online. Updated letters. Letters and messages will look different. We have been updating our standard letters and messages to improve readability, including an emphasis on plain language and new formatting, so it will be easier for customers to understand what they need to know. Employers will also experience some changes. Some processes will look a little different, including receiving and responding to notices of separation or other benefits-related questionnaires about their former workers. We will communicate directly with employers about these changes. Employers and third-party administrators that use the national SIDES system will still be able to do so after the migration. Enhanced fraud prevention and detection features. One of our top priorities with the new system is to continue to fight fraud and to protect the unemployment insurance trust fund for the people that we know depend on these important benefits. Oregon was able to navigate the pandemic without suffering fraud losses to the extent of some other states, but it's clear moving forward, we need to continually up our game to protect public funds by reducing the opportunities for people committing fraud. Based on the experience of other states who've rolled out new systems, we expect to see additional fraud attacks for unemployment insurance and paid leave Oregon during and immediately after the migration. Our goal is to find the right customer service balance between providing timely benefits and fraud protection. While we investigate a fraudulent claim and update our records to account for that fraudulent claim, it can cause a delay in payment to the real person whose information was used. As such, the identity verification process will change to further improve security. Claimants should closely follow the instructions and check their email and postal mail daily after they file an initial claim. Claimants should know that some notices will only come by postal mail, even if they select that they want us to communicate with them electronically. We already know that for paid leave, the identity verification process in most cases is doing what it's supposed to do. But we also know that people with legitimate claims are having challenges. In a moment, Karen will share more about what we're doing to help those folks. In closing, we have learned through the pandemic and the launch of Paid Leave Oregon that it's crucial to have clear lines of communication. One of those lines of communication is through you, our media partners. We will continue to keep you in the loop about the transition to the new system. Now I'll turn it over to Paid Leave Oregon Director, Karen Madden Hubblebaugh, sorry, Karen, for an update on the paid leave rollout. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate it. Today, as Lindsay indicated, I'm going to give an update on the latest data for Paid Leave Oregon. I'm also going to discuss a new law that went into effect on January 1st, 2024. So as of last Friday, we've received 45,275 identity verified applications and resolved, which means either approved or denied, benefits for 39,274 of those folks, which is about 85% of claims. So far, this means that more than $196 million have been paid to over 32,000 of our neighbors during qualifying paid leave events. We know that some of you may still be hearing about folks who are experiencing delays, mostly due to people who are not responding to the identity verification letters they receive in the mail. We have resolved the majority of the previous backlog of those claims that had delays, and we continue to work through those claims with numerous complications and issues. It's important for your viewers and readers to know, in some cases, people are starting to report delays in their claims who have just applied 1 to 2 weeks ago, and so they're not actually delayed. Another issue we are seeing is that folks are starting their leave, but they don't apply until weeks after their leave has begun, and this is not a best practice. Here are some tips we would love for you to share with your viewers and readers. Employees should try to apply 30 days in advance for a known event like a birth or a surgery. They should use our paid leave forms and Francis Online for a smoother process. We're also seeing that many employees are choosing the wrong employer when they are filing their claim, which does cause delays. For example, a large healthcare company may have its payroll process under each clinic or hospital or administrative unit. So we're asking that employees check their W-2 or pay stub for the business name that actually pays them, as well as their employer's business identification number or federal employer identification number, which would be on those forms. Claimants should use this information in their application to expedite their employer being asked questions relevant to process their claim. The amount of time each claim takes to process is really dependent on many factors, including those that I mentioned above, as well as missing or incomplete documents or entering something incorrectly, which can send folks into identity verification again. This is why getting information correctly and submitting all the correct forms is really, really important. We also warn folks that changing key information in their claim during the middle of the claim can temporarily suspend paying their claim benefits. In some cases, people who were getting paid then go into change maybe their address or some other critical information. This can suspend their claim temporarily and send you back through the identity verification process. I'm now going to switch gears and talk about some news about a change in the law that went into effect on January 1st, 2024. The legislature passed a law last legislative session that adds bias crimes to the Safe Leave portion of Paid Leave Oregon. Safe Leave for Paid Leave Oregon is now for survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, harassment, bias crimes, or stalking. Under Oregon law, a bias crime is motivated in part or whole by bias against another person's race, color, disability, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. We have updated all of our Safe Leave forms and information in Francis Online to reflect this change to the law. I'm now going to turn it back to you, Rebecca, so that we can all have our question and answer portion of the briefing.
Thanks, Karen. So we're going to open the lines to members of the media to ask questions. If you are joining us by phone, please make sure to hit *6 to unmute yourself. And as always, if you don't get your question answered today, please email us at communications@employ.oregon.gov. So I'm going to take raised hands. I see the first is Mike Rogaway. Let me allow you to talk, Mike. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, all. A couple questions for Karen to start. Karen, I think in December, our understanding was that Paid Leave Oregon was aware of 1,500 people who were experiencing delays due to the identity verification process. Is that number right? And do you have a sense of what the current number is?
That number was correct at that point in time, and we reduced that particular backlog down to what we're considering a net zero. So we are basically getting under a couple of hundred that come in during a week, but we're also out processing that same amount during the week. And so we are always going to have some influx of folks who haven't responded to those letters. And so we're just making sure that we have staff assigned to take care of those very quickly for people when they do occur.
Great, thanks. And was there a dashboard that was going to be set up for Paid Leave Oregon? And is it up and running? Or if not, do we have a timeline for when?
We do have a dashboard for Paid Leave Oregon. It's actually part of our overall agency dashboard. Maybe Rebecca, you could also post it maybe in the chat for folks to know where to go. But yeah. It's available. We do publish it on Wednesdays. It has information for not just paid leave, but for unemployment insurance and for our work source centers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Next up is Ashley. I'm going to allow Ashley to talk. All right, go ahead, Ashley.
Hi, thank you. This is also for Karen. You mentioned things that applicants, like mistakes that they're making when they're going through the process that are slowing it down. We at KGW have had reports, though, a lot of things that the department is doing wrong. We've had reports of people stuck on hold for hours when they're calling trying to get help. We've had reports of verification forms sent to the wrong department, people incorrectly being flagged as fraud. You explain the things that applicants can do better, but how do you explain the mistakes that are, or the holes that are falling through in your department?
Yeah, I'd certainly say that we have solutions in place for a few of those things that you've talked about. Clearly, some aspects of fraud, I'll kind of start at the bottom of your list, but some aspects of fraud are that we need to assist the real person in applying for an application if maybe a fraudulent person has tried to do that prior. So we have a specific team of folks who assist with those. That's something that we work together with the claimant on to resolve. When we talk about things like call wait times, we do have call wait times that are longer than we would like them to be right now. And this is largely because one of the biggest reasons people call is to just check on the status of their claim. Some people call every day to check on the status of their claim, and that just drives up volume. So we've really been focusing on getting our more experienced staff on resolving those claims so that people don't have to keep calling us on a daily basis. I also really recommend that people are in those Francis accounts and checking versus calling and getting that frustration of the higher call wait times. But the more claims that we're able to resolve, especially those complex ones, that will obviously bring down the call wait times and the volume over time. And I think you had a middle one there that I didn't address, if you want to.
Yeah, it was reports of verification forms being sent to incorrect
yeah.
departments or incorrect
Yeah.
recipients.
That's a super interesting one from my perspective. You're the only organization I've heard that from. I haven't heard that from customers directly either. There isn't an other department here, so I'm uncertain about that. I'd love to follow up with any claimant who's willing to work with us so that I can look into that and research it.
Yeah, if you send me those names, Ashley, I'd be happy to pass those on.
Cool, yeah. My other question was, can you explain the ID verification process, just like how that works for people?
For most people, they're not going to see or notice the identity verification process that we utilize. We use a number of tools. That's at the very beginning of when someone creates their account and files their claim. We do some identity verification essentially behind the scenes before we begin talking to their employer or working on their claim.
And is there any way to streamline that process?
We're always looking for ways to streamline any of our processes, but we don't want to do anything to shortcut identity verification because combating fraud is so important to us. It's important that people's identities are individually protected, their benefits are protected, and also our paid leave trust fund is protected.
Great. Last question, you mentioned the new laws covering bias crime, domestic violence, sexual assault. Just because I'm not familiar with that, does that mean that if a person is a victim of those crimes that they're eligible for paid leave Oregon?
Yeah, so it's always been the case that survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, harassment, or stalking were covered under paid leave Oregon. So all this does is it added bias crime into that group of people who are survivors of those items that can qualify for safe leave.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Next up is Peter Wong with the Portland Tribune in Pamplin. And let me make sure that I unmute you. Where did you go? There we go. Okay, go ahead, Peter.
There we go. Couple of questions for Gail. 1.9% growth in the past 12 months for overall jobs. Would you say that's average, doing okay for Oregon, or maybe below the trend of recent years? Obviously, I have to discount the whole roller coaster of the pandemic where things went way down before they recover. And I guess the second question, which is related, is I believe construction went down quite a bit in the last report, but now it's back up. Is there any explanation for that other than obviously apparently we're going to be in for a new round of construction projects this coming year? Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Peter. On the first one is the 37,000 jobs or 1.9%, a decent growth rate over the past year. Yes, on the whole, I would say that adding 37,000 jobs over a year is a good growth rate for Oregon. Like I was saying, with the job gains being largely concentrated in one sector, another point of concern that I have with the job growth is that the bulk of the job growth that's happened over the past year happened in the early part of 2023. So we have seen growth slow substantially in the latter part of 2023. So while I do think overall it's a healthy growth rate, I'm keeping an eye on how that has potentially shifted and what that looks like after we get a whole set of revised data for 2022 and 2023 in the coming weeks. Your second question was about construction. Construction did have a decline in the original November estimates, and then did resume growth in December and reach an all-new record high level. Overall, construction's been showing a strong trend over the past year, and we've seen strong growth relatively in residential construction, which I think is a point of concern for a lot of folks. And so overall, I think there's things that can affect construction, the beginning and ending of different projects, the weather. I'm looking outside right now at what may or may not be able to be constructed in this current moment. So there are certainly things that are variable for that industry in any given month.
Okay, thanks. No, I wasn't suggesting that we're going to have a construction boom after this storm. Maybe reconstruction. Thank you.
Okay, last call for questions. I don't see any other hands. All right, so as a reminder, this call has been recorded and we will send a link out to everybody who RSVP'd. We will also post the link to this recording on our media page at www.oregon.gov/employ under the News and Agency Info tab. Thank you to everyone who participated today and your partnership to keep Oregonians informed about our important services. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe.
Thanks, everybody.